StreamYard. Welcome.
We're on. Greetings, everyone. Hi, everyone. This is Karen, also known as Empress. Sorry, it's been a while since I've been on. So I wanted to just welcome you all on for, it's been a while since I've done a live. So I wanted to just give an opportunity for us to have a great conversation this evening with Mr. Joseph Patterson. Before I introduce him, I wanted to, we're going to be streaming live through CRR Radio Network in Central Florida, my second home away from home when I'm not in Jamaica. And with us is Mr. Louis Witter. Louis, thank you for joining us. Can you welcome your
Absolutely.
well?
Yes, all is well. It's a beautiful weather here in Central Florida, Kissimmee, Davenport, Orlando, and surrounding areas. And we want to thank everybody for tuning in this evening. And we want to thank you, Karen, for this opportunity to join in with you guys to be able to speak to our special guest this evening.
Yes. Thank you. And our special guest is Mr. Joseph Patterson. And there are some people who know him and some who do not. And so we're going to have an opportunity this evening to find out who Mr. Patterson is. One of my, I am eagerly in anticipation of learning some of his survival skills. I've shared with my audience and my family the challenge I had after Hurricane Beryl passed. I thought I was ready. I put everything in place and thought I did, and wasn't so ready after. So I'm getting us a little bit of tips as to how Mr. Patterson survived not only the hurricane, but weeks without power there in St. Elizabeth, where they have been going without power for what seems like an extended period of time. I can't imagine how that may be. So I want to welcome you, Mr. Patterson. So tell us, I want to kind of just jump in, and I'm going to kind of lead the conversation into just how you survived, what it is, how did you gain those skills, your survival skills, and kind of just lead the conversation into their, what you're doing now. And
sure. Well,
so go ahead.
let me just say a big welcome to all of our viewers, wherever you are, in Florida, here in Jamaica, across our 14 parishes. My home parish of St. Elizabeth. We're having a lot of rain today, so it's quite wet outside and internet disruptions. But I'm very happy to be here today, and I'm particularly happy, Ms. Francis, because you are a newly installed VP for the UIC, VP Cornwall. So it's good to be interviewed by you even before I've had a chance to interview you in the public sphere. But that's a pleasure. And welcome, Mr. Witter. Thanks for being on with us as well. And to all of our friends online.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our friends online. I see Jasmine Powell, VP Powell from Surrey, is online, Roundtable Talk TV. I see Juliet. Cool guy. Thanks to all of you for being here today. It has been a pretty rough near 2 months for the people of St. Elizabeth in particular and Westmoreland. And here in Northeast St. Elizabeth, where I am the MP candidate for the UIC, we have gone for several weeks. Most people here just received electricity in the ELM area on the 14th of August and some later. Interestingly enough, when the electricity came back here in my neck of the woods, everybody got it except me. So I was still without JPS. Now, fortunately, we only use JPS as a backup. So when I returned to Jamaica in 2011, one of the most important things for me was to ensure that I'm not dependent on JPS or NWC or even the supermarket. So I made sure to do a few things very early in my return, which was to build in-ground tanks to hold up to 6 months of water, an air tank to hold 3 to 6 months of water as well, and put in a filter system to filter the water. And I'm connected both to the river and to rainfall. So I do rainwater harvesting. And I also have the river as a backup to that. So when I bought this property, I really looked at a number of factors. I looked at the location, what's the history of it in terms of storms, hurricanes, earthquake, where the fault lines are. So I did a whole lot of geological analysis before buying this property, and to make sure that I would be as protected as possible from the element. You can't be fully, but I at least try to be as best as I can. And then I focus now on water security, food security, and energy security. Exactly what I'm talking about for Jamaica, I've done for myself. So I in the water tanks, I connected everything to my home. So I collect water from the roof. It runs right into our tank. It's monitored in terms of the quality. I have about 4-level filter system. The filter coming off the roof, the filter coming out of the tank, the filter coming into the house, the filter through the refrigerator, the filter through the kitchen sink, and the filter through the showers. So we have filters everywhere. And also filter through the water heating system, because hot water kills bacteria. So I have a
Yeah.
pretty large water filter system and a large water heating system. So I don't pay for hot water, but I do get hot water in my pipes because I put that in. On the electricity side now, my wife and I ensured that we estimated the amount of energy we would need, both for the farm and for the house. And then we bought panels and inverters and all of that, and put in the infrastructure so that we would have electricity. So fortunately, when Beryl struck, we were able to turn on the lights and pump water if we needed to. I also put in gravity feed because I believe you have to be thinking about what happens if your main electricity is down, either JPS or solar. What do you do? So I made sure to have a water capture system above ground to give us at least, gravity feed water. Now, where did all of this come from? When I was a little boy, about 8, 9 years old, I was passing a place, St. Mary's Church, and I saw a sign that says Scouts. And I went to her and said, "Mommy, can I join the Scouts?" And she says, "Of course." And she quickly took me over there. My mom is like that. She wanted to get me into everything. And single mother, single mother, poor single mother, who lived in a one-room house and everything. She took me over there and I signed up for the Scouts. Best thing, it's better than school. Our motto was be prepared. It meant thinking ahead, assessing what might come, planning for it. We learned, things like, how to read a map, how to tell directions using the sun, the time of day. We did, a journey badge where you had to travel from one side of Jamaica to the other in the mountains and outside, sleep out in the tents and all that kind of stuff. How to cook without matches and make a fire and all of that. It was really a powerful
Remember those
experience.
days, man.
Yes. So that's a quick, peek into my background and how I became so
Good
much
stuff.
more forward-looking and preemptive in the way I approach life and politics as well.
That's awesome.
Good. Louis, I heard you mentioning that. Are you familiar with the Boy Scouts? Is the Boy Scouts a big Jamaican?
Yes, of course. Everything that you're saying, Brother Patterson, I remember them as a young boy growing up in Portland.
Yeah.
I'm on the other side of Portland, and that's how I get my skills, my life. That's how I've been navigating through life with those things that I've learned as a scout.
Yes.
And move from a scout to a cadet, and you know how to tie the knot and rope, and you can survive in any situation
Absolutely. You
there.
can
So
find food by looking
yeah,
at the different plants and roots, figuring out what is poisonous from what isn't.
exactly.
If somebody breaks their arm, you can set it back and put it in a splint
Sir, you
until
got good
you get to,
training.
you learn how to rescue somebody who's drowning.
Yes,
I think every child should really have that kind of training and
that type of
experience.
training. Amen.
It made me a better person, a far
Amen.
better person because of that. Yeah.
That
Uh,
is so true.
that these programs that you're mentioning, the Boy Scout, Girl Scouts, 4-H groups, these offer young people the opportunity to develop skills outside of what they're doing within the classrooms, which are relevant because obviously it's kind of helped you, and not only that, it's built soft skills in you as well, so that even your work ethic is reflected
Absolutely,
because of this.
absolutely. Yeah.
So does the Boy Scouts still exist in Jamaica?
Ah,
Are they?
yes, the Scouts still exist. They're not as prominent and powerful as they were back then, and even back in my time, which is talking back in the 80s. It still wasn't. It was there, but I don't think many Jamaicans take advantage of it,
A bit.
um, and many
Yeah.
parents don't see the value in it. Maybe they don't understand it. My mother certainly didn't. She just know that it was. She used to. My mom, right? She used to teach in Jamal. And by the way, that's the lady. She has a ninth grade education and no further. But she was a Jamal teacher because she
Yes.
could read and write, because her mother, who was a practical nurse, who taught me, my grandmother taught me to read, learn to read by the time I was 3 years old. So I was reading fluently at 3 years old. And the way my grandmother did this was to insist that if I want the comic strip, I had to first read the headline and the story. And during that process now, she would teach me pronunciation and all of that kind of stuff and breaking up the sentence and whatever. So
Yeah.
my mother could read, so she was able to help in Jamal. And while she was there over at the St. Mary's Church, she saw the scouts and they would be drilling left, right, and whatever.
Mhm.
And when I came home and said to her, because here's what happened, my mom took me everywhere because, single mother, you don't have money for daycare and all that kind of stuff. So wherever she's going after she has done her work, she carry me on her hip and I'm there with her. And, so I was there with her at the Jamal class, and I saw the boys out there in their scout tie and them have on them badge and them look good. And I said, boy, I like that. I said, Mommy, can I join? She says, absolutely. She found Mr. Bolivar Blake, who is still alive today, and Smithy, my scout leaders and assistant scout leader. And she said, can my son join? And they said, yes. And I remember Smithy was the one who took me at, please name again, Kentire. And we had a big river. And he said, you can't swim. I said, no. And he took me and he threw me off into that big river.
That actually happened. That actually happens. I have a
Yes. He just
Yeah.
took me up and he just threw me off. And I am there trying to figure out. And him saved me after I'm about to drown. And him said, okay, now the fear is gone. Now you're going
Yes.
to learn. And that's how I learned to swim in Kentire River,
Mhm.
back and forth across. I learned to dive, go right to the bottom, figure what's going on, and come back to the top and get here. It was really a fun experience. I would give anything to relive those moments of scouting again.
So you're a puppy man.
Well, I'm not from Papine, but scouting take you all over Jamaica as well.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
when I got into an accident in at Flatbridge. By then I was a scout, what do you call them, a patrol leader. So I was leading my platoon on what we call the journey badge, where you're traveling in the hills and mountains. And I came down to Flatbridge at the corner there where the cars kind of zoom around. And I had to go out and hold up my hand and get the cars to stop and then get my team to cross. And a vehicle came and just hit me. I was like flipping in the air, and way up in the air, and came back down right at the edge, near to the water. And that was another experience because I jumped back up and then addressed my team before I fainted. And, I woke up at Spanish Town Hospital, but that was quite a story. But my mom
That's a
still
good
didn't
one.
pull me out. It was an
Right.
experience, near-death experience. I learned my lesson, how to be more cautious and careful and move on from there.
Amen. Amen.
Well, your scout leader would have been in trouble with your mom if you were
Yes.
There you go. So I
This
hear
is
I
good.
hear I hear an accent, not so much Jamaican. That means that you have been in the diaspora and returned. And I'm curious to hear a little bit about what that experience has been like. And Louis, please, if there are any follow-up questions, please jump in and
Sure,
I
sure.
want to get to here to figure, well, what brought you back to Jamaica? Why did you leave and why did you
In
come
the
back?
first place. Well, I met my wife in the 8th grade at Spanish Town Secondary. Now, let me back up a little bit. Now, I failed the common entrance twice. You would call me one of those persons. They did call me this. They called me Pretty Duds. Because back then I was handsome. Back then
Yeah.
but I was dunce because I didn't really take to academic studies. I was well read, well informed, articulate, but I
Mhm.
couldn't deal with the academic things. I dealt more with, I could write, and not write properly either. I could write good, but not my toe. But my writing was prolific. Was really. So I was there, but I failed common entrance twice. And at about the age 11, I ran away from home to go and live with my dad because he was fairly wealthy. My mom was struggling. She has 3 children. We lived in a 12 by 12 room, no indoor washroom, no kitchen, no nothing, just the 4 of us in this little box. And I met my father when I was around 9-ish. And I ran away to his house, and I left my mom a note, which I wrote and said, Mom, you have done enough. It's time for my father to pick up the slack right now. So I went to live with him. He was very happy because he could rub it in my mother's face, and say, hey, and come to me. So I went to live with my dad.
Wow.
And quickly he found out that I was a pretty dunce. That made him very unhappy because he had other children that were doing very, very well. And I don't know my times tables. I can't spell properly, all kind of foolishness. And so it was suggested to him that the boy can't do much with him head, so send him to a school to learn something with him hand. So they got me into Spanish Town Secondary. And because I overheard that conversation, a light bulb went off in my head, and I decided to change everything. And so at that school, I took charge. I became head boy, student council president. I created the drama club, created the science club, and just really took over the school and said, listen, we're going to be better than what they expect of us, and pull everybody up. And so in the process of that, at Spanish Town, in grade 8, I met my wife, to be. And together, we made a commitment at the end of school that after college, we're going to get married. Now, her mother was in Canada, and so she went from Spanish Town to Canada, and I went from Spanish Town Secondary to Stats, where I got a scholarship to study there. And then after college, I went to UTech as well, did engineering, and she went to college in Canada. And as soon as we graduated, we got married. And so that's how I ended up in Canada.
Amen,
I
amen.
can't believe
And how long were you there?
I was there for at least 17 years. But from the day I landed in Canada until the day I returned to Jamaica, my wife knew that I'm not going to stay in Canada. I was very focused. Everything I did, all that I did was geared towards returning. And so I moved up the ranks very quickly. I mean, my first job, real job, I had some minor stuff, but my first job, I was unemployed for 6 months, and it was the worst 6 months of my life. But I got a job as what they call a restaurateur. It's a nice name for mopping the floor and waiting the table and serving people. So I got a job there doing that. And very quickly they realized that I had other skills. I was a trained engineer from Jamaica. So I started managing inventory, managing cash. And eventually they got me to do their accounting. I was already studying accounting. And it blossomed. Then they put me to assistant manager. And then I from there quickly to accounting supervisor, financial controller, director, VP finance, director of finance for the government, chairman of the board for a major corporation. And then I came back to Jamaica and stuff. So I took my family, wife, children, everything, came back, scouted, found the land that we wanted, bought it, built our home, and here we are today. 11 years later. Is it 11? 13 years later.
You've been there home 13 years.
13
one
years,
of the things you mentioned that I wanted to point out was you mentioned the common entrance exam.
Yes.
I realized that there were just some results that came in from exams that there were students in Jamaica and they didn't fare so well. And the idea that if you don't pass this exam or if you don't follow the traditional way of doing things, you are a dunce bat is not accurate. And unfortunately, the school system makes students, brilliant students like yourself and myself, who also didn't pass the first time I took it, feel like it's you're unable to, you're not intelligent, and hopefully we'll redirect though that kind of thought in terms of the value that people bring to the table. So can you share with us and tell us then, so why you came back home?
Sure.
Because this was
So, I mean, so I always wanted to come back home. So it's not even if, it was just a matter of when. And so I planned everything meticulously. I planned our finances carefully. My wife will tell you I'm very, very stringent on financial planning. So it was a natural progression for me. In Jamaica, when I did CXCs, I got 13 subjects, which was unusual for back in those days. But I did everything from the sciences to accounting, history. I got distinction in history, distinction in mathematics, distinction in electrical technology. So I was really very. It turned out, that I was actually good with my head and not just my hands. contrary to what they told my dad. You know what I mean? So
improve it to them.
so when I got to Canada, the interesting thing was when I got to Canada, the Canadians did me a great favor because by then I'd become very conceited now. Because remember, I'm coming from nothing. I have defied all the odds. When I left Jamaica, I was running a business that was doing very, very well. I left it in the hands of others, and of course, it never worked out. But I was already in business as an entrepreneur here. I was assistant manager for sugar company in Money Musk. I was only 23 at that point, 22 plus at that point. So I felt really confident, overly confident. And so when I went to Canada now, they were going to burst my bubble. I went there and the people them say, you're not qualified enough. I applied for a job as a technician with this company, many companies, but this company was kind enough to invite me in for an interview. Others just quickly say, are they overqualified or underqualified? And you're off the list. So one guy, I pressed him and I begged him in a professional way. He says, come in. And I went in and he said, show me a lathe. And I'm in the factory, the place, looking, and I can't see a lathe. And the reason I couldn't see the lathe is that what they taught me in Jamaica and tell me is a lathe, way, way behind, like 15, 20 years behind. So now we had this massive thing, which was a programmable logic circuit, powerful industrial lathe that I had know nothing about. And he showed me how quickly and efficiently that lathe could produce anything mechanical. And I was like, whoa. And he says, this is it. That's why I can't hire you. You're really not at that level yet, even though you think you are based on your credentials in Jamaica. So I had to now work my way up from the bottom and learn again. And I decided at that moment to switch to finance fully, because before then I was an engineer major, but I did A-level economics, accounting, and was bringing myself up along that discipline as well. But I made a switch fully, went to accounting, and became a CGA, certified general accountant, and a CPA, chartered professional accountant, and did my degree in accounting and finance and whatever, and just took off on that trajectory. So now I was a new person focused now on the field of finance and financial management. And so that now my engineering knowledge plus my finance knowledge now became the new person that I would become, plus the values of scouting and the ethics of a mother who taught me that hard work, and then more importantly, by looking at her, I realized smart work was important too, not just hard. So I had to shift from the way she did things, which was hard work. She worked, burn our fingers and get whatever done. But I also had to learn how to work smarter, because I promised her, I said, Mom, I'm going to get rich and I'm going to take care of you. So I had to live up to that. I had to make sure that I could give her something much better than what she experienced in her earlier years. And I was committed to doing that.
Wow.
Amen.
That's wonderful. Wow. That's pretty compelling. I want to go back to, at a later point in our conversation, the training you had in Jamaica and where or how prepared it made you for Canada, or did it not make you prepared for Canada? But before we go there, I wanted to have you just tell us a little bit about how you came to form this UIC. There's something that happened, I came back from China in 2020, early 2020 because of the whole pandemic situation. We know what was happening in the world, the lockdowns and what have you. I wasn't paying close attention to what was going on in Jamaica, but you have that experience that I'd like you to share with us what happened.
Sure. I mean, when I came back to Jamaica in 2011, I I was hit with a shocker. I mean, I thought Jamaica would have been a little bit more developed and progressive. And don't get me wrong, we've had developments in a number of areas, some good, some not so good. But I wasn't, for 2 years, I'm back in the country, I'm in the system. I took a job with a very prominent company because I wanted to see what's happening on the inside. And thank you, Mr. Stewart. Thank you for that opportunity. I came in, I saw all the different things happening in Jamaica from the perspective of a corporate establishment and the banking sector, where I dealt with the bank and everything. And after 2 years, I concluded that the two major parties, there's no way that they can be trusted to do what is required to take Jamaica from being where it is today to becoming a first-class country. And so in 2013, I started putting together now a different set of information. Before, I used to study Jamaica just as another Jamaican wanting the best for my country. I've always been involved in politics as a child. My mother was an avid supporter of one of the parties, so I've always been there with her. I've been to the women's movement meetings. I've been to the arenas with Michael Manley. I've been to the conferences and seen and listened and heard. And I remember when I became 18 and she said to me, all right, you're 18 now. Are you going to vote? And I said, 1 second, Mom. Mommy, I cannot vote PNP. And she was like, are you kidding me? You're going to vote Labour? I said, Mommy, don't worry. I'm not voting Labour either. So what is going on? I said, these two groups have focused and served at dividing and distracting, and they're destroying our people. So there's no way that I can be party to that. That was 18 years old, And then I started, by then she had moved to Seaview Gardens. So I started working in that community because they had two sites. In the 1970s, Michael Manley had started what was called Bottom Site, where they were giving out houses to PNP, and my mother, as a PNP, got one of the PNP houses. So that entire area down there, so it's primarily PNP. Then in the 80s now, Siaga came in and he the top site and bring in houses to the GLP. This is how they destroy our people, right? And I said, my God, this is horrible. Why are they giving out houses based on political affiliation? I'm young and I'm a kid then, a young boy, and I couldn't accept this. So what I started to do, I joined the police youth club, took it over pretty much and organized it differently. And I reached out to the top site young people. They had a club over there called Majestic Club, and I got them to kind of adopt the principles of the police youth club, and we merged together while being on different sides of the dividing line, and we started to organize now where the two sides were working together, and we built along the train line. We started to put together planting trees, flowers rather, and create a little park and stuff. Then I got involved now in the health issues because they had a pump station that wasn't being managed properly because it's political appointments again, right? O.T. Williams was the MP then. And they were causing the sewage to back up down at the bottom of Bottom Site. And the kids were getting rashes on their skins, and the pregnant women were getting, And so I led a demonstration on Spanish Town Road where the road was blocked. I didn't block the road, but because of the demonstration, the people slowed down to look, things got congested. And then PJ Patterson called O.T. Williams, slapped him on his hand. They brought in some Chinese, fixed the situation. And then the sewage was cleared and the rashes went away and the mosquitoes and so on. And then I also had to lead another demonstration again because we had crime being very high, but the people had no phones. And TOJ at the time wouldn't give people like those telephones. And so I led another demonstration, and we got phones into the community. By then, now I became public enemy number one for the politician, the activists. So they wanted to actually kill me. And it was the
What?
mothers, the mothers, the mothers, and the girlfriends or baby mothers of these bad men who were shielding me from them. And fortunately, just when things got very heated was when my wife finally plucked me out of Jamaica and I went to Canada to live. Now, I say this to tell you the premise for where I'm coming from now with the UIC. So, having seen all of this as a young man, as a child, and my conviction that this isn't going to work for Jamaica, I started writing the manifesto of the UIC, designing a governance model that would unite our people, that would liberate our people, that would empower our people to see beyond party politics now and start to focus on good governance. Because without good governance, no matter what you do about party, without good governance, meaning eliminating corruption, creating a safe environment, a clean environment, a healthy environment, then we cannot thrive. And what is going to happen, which is now happening, other people are going to come in and take over our assets, and we're going to become tenants in our own yard. And so what I'm trying to do now, and with the UIC, is to re-educate. So first, I have to find a way to get us to overcome the partisan blinders. That's the unity. And to unite around governance, because it's governance that gives you the kind of lift you need economically. And then get us now to liberate our minds, the way Marcus Garvey and Bob Marley says, from mental slavery, emancipate ourselves, and then move now to empowerment, which is having an education system that moves away from rote knowledge and colonial thinking to now thinking about how we can understand ourselves, understand others, and understand money. Because if you don't understand those three things, yourself, how to interact with people and build solid relationship, business, family, and otherwise, and how to build a solid economy and not be fooled by people who can take you for granted because you don't understand economics and you don't understand money. That's the empowerment that we want. And then move that now into the productivity, industrialization, manufacturing, a better version of tourism, one where the money comes to the community, a better version of energy management, water management, and food management.
Beautiful. Wow.
My brother Patterson, for the sake of our listeners here on the CRR network, explain to us what is UIC? What is UIC? What is
Sure.
your organization?
So UIC stands for United Independence Congress. And I was very deliberate in choosing every single one of those words to represent Jamaica's third official political party, which came into being as a registered party in Jamaica on the 2nd of December 2019, after tremendous amount of battle against the two colonial parties who tried to stop us. Now, so United means we're bringing together the independent thinkers of the country, those who have not been solidly brainwashed to the point where they cannot let go of green and orange, where they can't see that they're being trained to hurt themselves. I digress a little bit here to just tell you this bit of history. In 1838, when they freed the slaves, it was a fake freedom. They simply got the slaves to believe that they are free while holding on to three things that they denied the slaves. One, they held on to the land that was stolen from their ancestors. Two,
Yes.
they ensured that they did not return the capital stolen from their labor. And three, by now the slave had become dunce because they had deliberately kept them away from being able to read and write and learn and develop properly. So the slave was disadvantaged on those three levels, but they gave them a fake freedom so they wouldn't burn down the plantation anymore. So the slaves now were fooled into thinking they're free, but all they were free to do was to go and beg a job from their slave masters. Now that was the
They have
first trick.
nothing to do around it.
They had
Yes.
nothing. They had no. They were ignorant and uneducated. They were without financial capital and they were without land, which means that's not freedom. That is simply a trick, and the trick worked for 100 years. Now, between 1834, when it was announced, and 1944, the trick work. But then the people started to agitate. The slaves became angry. The former slaves, who were still slaves, became angry. And they were burning down some more plantation again. So what they did was brought in another trick in 1944. They got Norman Manley and Buster Manley and the Gleaner Company, the communication medium then,
Yes.
and the Plantocracy, which is the PSOGen, to come together, PSOJ, come together and blacklist Marcus Garvey
Yes.
and ostracize him and vilified him and push him out and
Yes.
and and killed his political movement, and then replace it now with two fake political parties that are now claiming to represent the interest of the people, but they were strategically placed as controlled opposition to fool the people. And the people bought into it, of course, because again, they control the media, so the Gleaner fed one set of information. They control the big money in the country, so they could buy and bribe. And of course, they control the two political parties. So the people bought into what now would be fake democracy and self-governance. That was 1944. They practiced this for 18 years, from then until 1962. And once they realized that the people have bought it hook, line, and sinker, they then gave them a fake independence with a fake constitution. And for the last 62, 63 years, we have now been following that fakeness, and it has now become us. So we now believe it. The lie has become truth for us, and we practice it vehemently to the point where in 1980, we killed more than 800 of ourselves fighting for one side or the other of this fake coin, this fake political dichotomy.
Political party.
So the UIC
Political
is,
mess. That's what we
yes,
call it, Virgin. Political
exactly.
mess.
So the UIC is committed now to re-educating and informing and liberating our people from this lie, fake freedom, fake democracy, and fake independence, while the other two parties are busy now trying to move us to the next fake level of a fake republic by tricking us once again now by saying, oh, look, we're going to get rid of the monarchy. All they're going to do is change the label on the poison, but it will still be a bottle of poison. The system will still be there. It will still continue to deny the Jamaican people their right to their land. It will still deny the people right to proper education. It will still deny the people a monetary system that is sound money rather than the fraudulent fiat currency we currently have now, which robs them of their purchasing power. And that will continue. And the UIC is saying, no, that must stop. And so the UIC, the United Independence Congress, was built to unite us to overthrow that system in a non-violent manner and build for the Jamaican people a true system of governance that will protect their right to their life, their liberty, and their property, and give them a safe, clean, and orderly society where everyone away can live, earn, and retire with dignity.
Beautiful, beautiful. And that was one of the things that really, I see you may have wanted to say something, Louis, but that was, I'm going to give you a minute to respond. As a matter of fact, go ahead, because I have already jumped on board because I have bought into this. I'm here, return to Jamaica, and I also could not decide which party to support that would be in the best interest of returning residents, people who have been here for years, and anything that's going to really benefit Jamaicans. So what are your thoughts based on what he just said?
My brother Joseph, I do like what you're saying. I like the history that you bring up and the understanding that we are living in a fake society. And we talk about, these are some of the things and the issues we talk about here on our network every single week, every day. We try to figure out what's going on with Jamaica. Why are we celebrating this fake independent that was just given to the political parties? Because that's the only for political. I hear people jumping up lately that, hey, Jamaica, find oil. But who does the oil belong to if there's any oil? It doesn't belong to us or the people of Jamaica. It still belongs to the monarchy because they own the land. We don't own anything. So I do understand and admire what you're saying, which is great. But my question to you, yes, the key here is education, is educating our people, letting them know the falseness that we have been listening, given, and the weakness of our men who are running the government, because these are weak men that do not have the galls to really tell the people the truth and show the people that, listen, for one, yes, anything that they want to destroy in Jamaica, they come against it. One was Marcus Garvey. Yes, they come against him because of what he was saying. The second was the the Rastaman. They come against them because
Mhm.
they were also speaking the truth and telling the people what to do and what not to do and how to live. And so my question to you, my brother, you just got into this business 5 years or 6 years now since you uh, introduced this party to Jamaica. But who is listening to you? Who are you speaking to that are listening to you, and who are you targeting? Because the people in my age bracket and all them things, these people, a lot of them will tell you, "Man, I have no time to listen to these. They are busy." But who are we? Who are you really targeting now with this new information? Because there's a generation of people that needs to know, and so I want to find out who are you targeting with your message?
So we're targeting everybody. So you have the older folks like you and me and older who need to know the truth so we can reorient. And some of us, not all of us,
Mm-hmm.
some all it takes is a small fraction, for us to believe. You're never going to reach. You're never going to have 100% of the people having full knowledge. What you need is a small
Right.
fraction. Our goal right now is to get from where we are now, which is about 3,000 core people that are registered, to 500,000. So step by step. But it's a work in progress, and it begins with me and you. If we
Yes.
one cook a full basket, if we know me, I talk to you, you know no, and you can go now and say to your the 100 people you know, and say, hey, check out this UIC thing now. How it can help. But I want to just kind of
Mm-hmm.
jump quickly back to the oil business because there's a very important thing I want to point out here with the oil. Um,
Yeah.
there is oil in Jamaica, no doubt about it. They're going to
No
drill
doubt.
for oil. They're going to drill for oil, and if there is enough, if there's enough accessible oil at the price point that the powers that be wanted, then they will go for it like they have done in Guyana and what they did before
Mm-hmm.
in Trinidad. Now, watch carefully though.
Yeah.
Just like in any other developing country, we, the Jamaican people, will not be the ones who are going to analyze, plan, and construct a way of extracting this oil and then reselling it and using it to our benefit. This will all be multinational, international companies who are going to come in. They're going to
Foreigners.
invest the money. They're going to invest the money, the time, and the expertise to explore. They're going to sign a contract with our politicians who have proven themselves very easy to be bought and not very wise in their analysis or
Yeah.
negotiation. We've already
I,
proven that over the years. So they're
I
going to sit
agree.
around a table with them. Their eyes are going to glaze over. It's going to pop out when they hear the numbers, and they're going to underestimate the potential of what they're dealing with just for the immediate gratification that they're going to get now and the corruption they see as a possibility in all of this. So what's going to happen? There will be an agreement, and when it's written, it's going to be that Jamaica is going to get a small slice, very, very small slice. You're going to get some tax revenues, you're going to get some jobs out of it, and the bulk of the profits, the bulk of the benefits will go overseas. The Jamaican people will never benefit significantly from the oil. And I'll tell you why that's very clear. Look at bauxite. Bauxite
Mm-hmm.
is Jamaica has been a leading producer of bauxite in the world and have supplied
Yes.
America with tremendous. So if we could have gotten a lot of value from a natural resource, bauxite would have proven our capacity to do so. So
That's
oil
true.
is going to be the very same thing as bauxite. Now here's the flip side to this now. Just like how bauxite polluted our air, polluted our water, and displaced our farmers, and caused many Jamaicans, without even knowing it, to be sick with all forms of diseases and cancers that they don't even know where it came from, and a burden on our healthcare system because of that. and the lack of human development because of the many lives we have lost in various ways, just like how we have lost without realizing it. And the benefit of bauxite is far outweighed by the cost that is hidden, that is not seen clearly. In the very same way, the benefits of oil will be outweighed by the cost to the Jamaican people. I'll give you one example of the cost. It will take just one major oil spill and our tourism industry will be wiped out.
Mm.
Our ecology around our shores will be damaged almost permanently. Now remember, Jamaica is a small country, relatively speaking. Now, bigger countries with a whole heap of landmass can afford to have mistakes. We can't afford any mistake at all in drilling oil. Now, worse
Yes.
than all of that, when you drill oil, you're disturbing the geology of your nation. Now, remember, Jamaica is a small island. So when you dig and you dig 10 wells to find one good one, you have disturbed all of the fault lines in our country. And when we have a massive earthquake and we have devastated our country without realizing the link to the drilling for oil, or a tsunami, because earthquake happens in the sea, and it devastates massive parts of our country and wipe it out. And we now thought of the wonderful benefits of oil, but now we're experiencing the wonderful downside. But guess what happened? Those companies that came here and spent billions, they've done it before. They'll just pack up and leave. And we, the people, will be left with the reality of this devastation. Now, the UIC's approach is very different. We're saying, let's focus on making Jamaica the organic food capital of the world. What will that do? It means we're going to maximize our ability to generate and produce good quality food for ourselves and then sell the surplus on the open market for a premium, because we would have been the one country in the world that is focused on organic foods. That's number one. Number two, we harvest our water, which we have plenty of. We're losing a lot of water when we just simply run from hurricanes and storms, as opposed to harvesting them. And then building massive reservoirs and learning effective purification, bottling and shipping, and become a major supply of water to other countries like Singapore, which has to import water. That's
Well,
number two.
we name land up with our water, so
Right.
we're supposed to be selling
So
water.
watch me now. We're maximizing our land and getting quality food for ourselves to eliminate the cancers and feed ourselves good food instead of importing bad food. We're also maximizing our water, so we have good, pure drinking water for we at all times, and we sell our surplus. And then we also want to now focus on our massive energy storage in the form of the sun, geothermal, and bioenergy. Maximizing those and making Jamaica at least 90% less dependent on fossil fuel. So now we have cleaner air, cleaner energy, energy security, water security, and food security. That means nobody can ramp with we. All we have to do now is to maximize our army, well-trained, get all of our nation, everybody in our nation, our kids to learn self-defense, how to use a gun, how to work effectively. And so when anybody tries to invade our country, they might be bigger than we, but they're going to suffer tremendously if they try. So we must become a superpower, a small superpower in terms of national defense, a small superpower in terms of energy, water, and food, and making sure that nobody can dictate to it and say you must inject your people with this because we say so. When we have food security and water security and energy security and a solid military, we're a power to be reckoned with.
Beautiful. Wow. Wow. Well said.
Very good, sir. I like it.
Well said. So that's hard to follow. That's a hard act to follow. But I want to go back to what the energy issue that Jamaicans are currently dealing with right now, and why what you have mentioned is such a great alternative. I also received an inflated JPS bill. Even though I was without electric for only 3 days, it didn't make sense to me that my electric bill was inflated, higher than normal. We're seeing that across the board, all over Jamaica right now. And then there seemed to be a governance issue that allowed this to happen, in which now we need the government to advocate for the people who are being, it seems like, exploited by the power company that's bullying us into now having to pay, or they shut the power off. I wanted to, that is a current issue in terms of the governance of that. And
Yes.
we have a clip to that, that shows a little bit of what is going on in Jamaica now. I wanted to give our audience an opportunity to view that, and then give you an opportunity to respond to what we can do, so I don't have to pay this bill, and at the same time, not lose our power. So if we could see that brief clip, it will give our audience an idea of what's going on. Give us
As far back as 2012, the OUR has put proposals for the amendment of its act to ensure that there is enforcement provisions. To date, those amendments have not taken place. And we have had several reviews, we have had several submissions, consultations were held with other ministries, and the cabinet submission was submitted. And to date, the OUR has not had those amendments. So it is not that the OUR, and if you read our annual reports over the period, you would see in our annual reports under the legal section that we are seeking to have enforcement powers, because that gap was recognized a long time ago. And in 2012, when the Telecommunications Act was amended, the OUR at the time sought to have enter into legislation the fact that we could impose fines directly and to have enforcement provisions directly over the utilities. We were told at the time that that was not within the constitutional framework and it could not be done. Again, because we have recognized that there is this gap of enforcement, we I think it was last year or early this year, have sought an opinion which we are awaiting as to whether or not that is in fact so, whether or not the OUR can be empowered within our constitutional framework to directly impose fines on the utilities when they do not comply, rather than having to go through the court system. So, or the traffic fixed penalty system. Because ultimately, if a company under the fixed penalty system disagrees and don't agree to pay the fine, then it still has to go to court. So that's a problem we see.
Who own the power service in Jamaica?
JPS is privately owned, with the government having a share in the ownership.
So we don't own that anymore.
No, we don't own anything anymore. We lost. We used to own GOS. Remember that wonderful public bus service? We've lost it. We used to own Air Jamaica. We lost it. We used to own Sugar Banana Coffee. We lost it. So I don't know why anybody have confidence in two parties who have only been effective at losing things. They have not been effective at building
even the airport. Even the airport is not ours officially.
Yeah, airport, everything. So right now, Jamaica, the government of Jamaica, even the Bank of Jamaica is now no longer the Bank of Jamaica. It is controlled by private interests and international banking cartels. So here's the issue now with JPS. From a legal standpoint and a constitutional standpoint, remember the constitution we have is a colonial constitution, which is designed to protect colonial interests. And the government agreement that they have in place, as the lady pointed out, they did not make provisions for dealing with this kind of situation, even though it was noted some 12 years before that there's a need for this. So what have we been paying them for? They even get a pay raise the other day. The government got a pay raise the other day, and they have not been taking care of business. The people of Jamaica, however, have a lot of power. If the UIC right now is trying to build our membership to 500,000. Just imagine if we had 500,000 members today, what would happen if we decide we're going to shut down the country unless you roll back those rates? Right now, there's nobody to do that. There's no organized group. The two most powerful organized political group in Jamaica are the two colonial parties, because we, the people, have allowed them to be. If right now the two parties control roughly about 30% of the electorate, there are 1.9 million persons registered to vote in Jamaica, 1.9 million. The two parties only control roughly about 600,000 out of that. If we were able to coalesce quickly as a body, like we did in September 21, September 22nd in the year 2021, when I led that march of 500 persons on Parliament to stop them from mandating the injection. Just imagine if we had 500,000 people today to say we're going to
How
get
many
up.
people, how many members do you have at that time, my brother?
Oh, we had 500 persons who showed up. 500 persons
Who showed
showed up and participated in that march, and it stopped them in their tracks. We kept the COVID injection to 23% in Jamaica when Barbados was at 65%, and other Caribbean countries in the 60s, 70s. We have stopped the government because just 500 of us stood up. The two parties were doing the same thing. Today, the two parties continue to do the same thing. Yes, they will try to give us the impression that they care about us depending on what's going on, but they're not. They will never care about the Jamaican people because they do not work for the Jamaican people. Bear in mind, both parties are funded by the PSOJ oligarchs, as well as by the international bodies who give them grants and loans. So they are committed to those taskmasters. So they do what the PSOJ says. They do what their colonial masters say. They do not have to listen to us, the people, because they'll always have those who they've kept hungry for the last 4 or 5 years. They just either ring the bell or play the song My Leader Banya and go around your communities, and they will just call out the small number. The 30% of Jamaicans will come out and they're going to vote for them ignorantly. Some will vote for them because they got $5,000, a cap and a t-shirt. Some will vote because they got a goat or a bag of feed or a bag of cement or a few blocks. That's all it takes for them to give away their rights and freedom, for them to sell out the rest of their African brothers. Just like how some of our African brothers in Africa found the trinkets that were brought by the Europeans more enticing than the lives they were throwing away. Let me digress here for a minute. If Africans had not sold out their young people, give away their youngest people, their smartest, young, strong young men and women over that 400 years or so of slavery, Africa would be a powerhouse today. But they lost all of that brain drain. The same way Jamaica continues to suffer from brain drain because we allowed two colonial bodies here on our soil, working for the colonial interests, claiming to be the party of the people, the two of them. They have maintained a Jamaica that keep running us out of the country. So our best engineers leave, our best nurses leave, our best teachers leave, and those who can't leave, wait for leave. Those who got to work today, they can't even focus on work because they're looking, I wonder if I can get a visa. If you go to the American embassy tomorrow, Monday morning, you see a long line. Canadian embassy, a long line. Everybody wants to leave this country. Why? Because the same two parties have kept us in this way. So to fix the JPS problem, here's what I'm proposing. Apart from us doing some kind of action, which I know we don't have the support because the people don't hear us. They don't know about the UIC as much as they should. But here's what we should have done and what we will do in the future for the Jamaican people. You need to have a non-profit public service company. JPS needs to be a non-profit organization, which is owned by the people of Jamaica fully. Okay, so it must not be operating for profit. What it should create is a national public grid, which any Jamaican and any provider of energy can tap into. So it's a public grid, which is paid for by the users who tap into it. Now you put solar on all the rooftops of the Jamaican people, all the business places that want to, all the churches, all the government and public buildings, all the schools, and you are now cutting your dependence on the current form of JPS operation by at least 50 to 60%. Then you put in place now biogas entities at all of our agri-farm processing entities that deal in animal husbandry, and even those that deal with the other green vegetables and so on, and collate all of that and create the green methane that you then transition into a turbine system that gives you another 20 to 30% of energy. Now you're up to 80% of your energy coming from Jamaica, from the bottoms of our animals and from the fruits and vegetables of our fields. Even sewage from humans can be converted into methane energy. You put that together, you now have 20 to 25% methane, 60 or 55 to 60% solar. And you go to geothermal now along our shorelines that are not for swimming. And you get another 15 to 10% geothermal energy from that. Co-generate that together with whatever we need from fossil fuel, and you now have the lowest energy costs, maximum manufacturing now in Jamaica because of the lower energy costs, more jobs, more productivity, and a wealthier nation.
Wow. My brother, listen, man. I have heard enough from you to know to say this, that, you know, and correct me if I'm wrong, the diaspora, Jamaica budget, the budget to run Jamaica is around between 7.5 to $8 billion. I think that's right around there, should be, according to what I understand.
Okay.
We here in the diaspora, we send home to Jamaica every year roughly 3.6 billion of that, or possibly even 4 billion of that money. I'm hearing you, and these are the type of talk that we need to hear. Our generation, the younger generation, need to hear every day. The people in the diaspora, we here in the diaspora that sends the money, half of the money to run the country. We are the one. Where have you been? Where are you in terms of speaking to us here? Why are you not here? Why are we not hearing you, seeing you all over the place, speaking to us in the diaspora who sends money? Because I know in order for you to even get 500,000 people, you're going to need some money, my brother.
Absolutely. There's no way for us to do this without money. But here what happened.
Yeah.
Those who control, and I'm glad you're here, and VP Francis, you're going to have to help us, help yourself to reach others. But there are many persons out there in the diaspora who knows about the UIC, but they are so green and orange in their minds that they will cut off their nose to spite their face. They are so committed to keeping, I don't know what it is they love about these two parties. I mean, I don't know how can you see the facts staring you in your face. This thing is poisoning you. This thing is, many Jamaicans want to come home, but they're afraid because it's unsafe. And I'm not lying to you. It is unsafe. Jamaica is an unsafe place. Jamaica is a disorderly place. Jamaica is a dirty place.
It is.
It's a
And
fact.
let me come in. Let me come in because I really want us to get this. And I'm using us now because I like what I'm hearing from you. And we need to get this out there, Karen, into the diaspora. We need to get your message out there, my brother. But what I think needs to happen here is that there have to be a 5-year, 10-year plan on your end to reach a younger generation with this. The younger generation in the school that are growing up, the younger people. A revolution does not start with people who are in the system. It starts with that younger generation, that mindset that needs to be changed, is what your message needs to be fed to. That younger generation who is in school that say, wait, I threw this man a talk. We need to do something. This is the message that we need to tell these young people to wake them up.
The young
Because
people, the young people are going to follow. Young people are going to follow their influencers.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, let me tell you what occupies our young people today. Let's be very honest and forthright here. You're probably not here, so you don't know fully. Our young
Yeah.
people see something very clearly. Here's what they see in Jamaica. If you go to school and study a book and try hard to do well, you're bound to fail. That's what they see. If you get involved in scamming, if
Yes,
you
yes,
become a thief,
yes.
if you try to leave Jamaica, that is your best option. That is what is in the mind of the young people right now.
Yes,
Outside
yes.
of that, they need something to keep them somewhat sane. So alcohol, fun, entertainment, that takes them. Those who are more, let's say those who manage to go to university or college, they're out for a rude awakening. They went to school, got their degrees, and then they come out and all they can find is a call center job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is, it's for them, it's mind numbing because it is
Yes.
so below what they wanted for themselves. Think about a young man today in Jamaica. If he gets a call center job, if the woman he want to talk to, the girl he want to talk to, she have a call center job too. And the two of them income together can't buy them a house, can't buy them a car. Him can hardly take her out for dinner anywhere more than Juicy Patty.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That young man, you know how men are, you're a man. There's nothing like being able to care for and take care of your woman and your family. And when you are growing up as a young man and you can't see your way out, you can't see how you're going to marry this girl and together build a nice family and a house and your children and pay for them to go to school. You don't see how you're going to do that. You become dysfunctional as a male. And then the women now, they're trying to find a functional man.
Mm-hmm.
They can't find a functional man because the men are them giddy, them a look, but we can find a way to get out of this.
Yeah.
And so the men now break down. They're not man anymore. They're something else. And the women now, over time, they become self-reliant now. So they have to do this without them. Okay? And guess what the women are doing now? They now become the sophisticated scammers. Him scam outside on the phone and whatever. And she now going to the corporation. So how we can scam the corporation? How we can steal $1 million a week from my employer?
Yeah.
How we can link up with somebody and the gas that come in for the bus, them we get the siphon some of that off, so we can sell it back to this fellow who sell it back to that fellow, and I make a money. So the whole society now become deranged mentally.
Hey.
And the politicians now go on
Oh
TV
my goodness.
in their jacket and tie and talk and their big talk and whatever. When them know that they have built the most massive corruption enterprise in Jamaica where everybody corrupt. If you go to the tax office, almost everybody around the counter corrupt. You go to the next agency, the building agency, them corrupt. You go to the licensing agency for your taxi, them corrupt. Everywhere you go, and I'm saying this because I want you to understand where Jamaica is, but it's not unfixable. What we have to do now is what the UIC is doing. We have to convince a small number of us to become committed to building our membership, reorienting the minds of 500,000 Jamaicans, one Jamaican at a time, and build a mass support, and then use that to legally and in a bloodless manner overthrow the system with the system, using the very system they have to vote them out of office. And when we come in, we use our majority and we bring a new constitution that put in proper checks and balances, that handcuffs those who want to be corrupt, and freeing our nation in the same way that Lee Kuan Yew freed Singapore from corruption and built a solid governance model in his country. And we're going to do even better than that, and making Jamaica a very anti-corrupt, very safe, and very productive nation.
And it is
One, while you were talking, what came to me in getting out your message, you have to approach or adopt a total orthodox way in getting your message out, my brother. It can't be the same way that everybody come and try the message. You have to be totally upside down with your message.
Don't say
You know,
you.
we. Okay, there we
We.
go. I thank you for the
Yes, we.
correction.
Yes.
I am in. I am in based on what you're saying.
Yes.
So, what came to me just now, Brother Joseph? People like um, this guy just came out. What name? Buju
Cartel.
Banton.
There
People
you go.
like Buju Banton. People like cartels. These are some of those young people. Everybody are listening to these guys. The younger generation is who's listening to these guys. And these are the guys that have the ears of the young people.
Yes.
These are the guys that
Which
I
is why
think
the two parties buy them. So for example, they bought Buju. Buju knows about the
we have
UIC.
to go buy, we have to go buy him
Let me
back,
show
man.
you
What you
something.
talking
You
about?
Back.
have to buy
Come
him
on,
back.
man.
So
We have
Buju,
to buy back Buju, man.
so let me tell you this. Buju knows fully, I mean fully about the UIC. Buju has been in talks behind the scenes. He saw the UIC, he knows this is the right thing, and he sat on the fence for a while, and then Mark Golden went and bought him, and he allowed himself to be bought. Sorry, Buju, you need to stop it. You need to come off the fence and come back to what you know is
For
right.
real, for real,
Tanya
for real.
Stevens, same thing, allowed herself to be bought by Mark Golden. And right now they're in the process of trying to buy Cartel as well. The UIC not buying nobody. The UIC is about Jamaica. And if you want to fix Jamaica, if you really want a better Jamaica for yourself and your children, not a Jamaica where you have to live around high fence with barbed wire on the top of it and whole heap of security cameras and security dogs and whatever. And when you're driving out, you have to be looking over your shoulder. You want a Jamaica that is safe when you go downtown, uptown, Montego Bay, Hanover, Lucy, wherever. You want a real Jamaica. And that's what the UIC is offering. So don't wait to be bought. Sell yourself on a better Jamaica for you, your children, and your grandchildren. You can only survive so long in America or Canada. In fact, those countries are now falling apart. Right now, Canada is not the Canada I left 13 years ago. It's very bad today. There are a lot of immigrants are now leaving Canada because of how bad Canada is becoming, because of the way it has been run. And the US has its own problems, and the UK is under fire at the moment. So Jamaica is our home. And I saw back then that one day we might want a better Jamaica. And so that's why I come home. And I have paved the way. I am your John the Baptist.
Amen.
All of you out there are the Jesus we're waiting for to come and bring salvation to this country. I have paved the way, and we now have more disciples like VP Francis here and others, and VP Powell on the call. Now let us all become disciples of the message of good governance for a safe, clean, and orderly Jamaica where all of we can prosper.
I agree.
Question
Totally
about
agree.
question and I'm watching the time. I'm keeping on the time,
Yes.
but in as we're prepared to conclude, I want to. There was an issue or question in the past about dual citizenship, and I myself am still wanting to know if my participation in the UIC will make a difference. Can I and those in the diaspora participate in the election, or if they are a member or become a member of the UIC, will it make a difference in
Sure.
the elections that are coming up?
Wonderful. Let me answer that in a number of ways. First of all, the UIC is the only party in Jamaica who is advocating for the diaspora to have the right to vote by absentee ballot and to register to vote. Right now, if you're a Jamaican living overseas, you can't vote by absentee ballots, nor can you register to vote as an absentee, Jamaican living abroad. You have to come home to Jamaica. You would have to sit on one place for 3 weeks or so for them to come there and find you there to validate that you're sitting at that place. That's how ridiculous the system is. Otherwise, you won't be registered to vote. And when election time comes, you'd have to fly back to Jamaica and vote. Remember, elections are not fixed. So you can't plan your vacation, say, like in America, it's November 5th, and you plan and say, November 5th, may I go back home to vote. No, in Jamaica, the Prime Minister call election anytime, as long as it's within the 5-year window. And they normally call it sometime before the 5 years, 6 to 8 months before. So you can't trust that system. The UIC wants to make us fixed election date, allow Jamaicans abroad to register and to vote by absentee ballot. We also want to overcome this dual citizenship issue here by allowing any Jamaican, once you're a Jamaican citizen and you have returned to Jamaica, you are allowed to keep your dual citizenship and serve in our government, because we need to reverse the brain drain. We can't afford to cut off half of our people. There's about 4 million Jamaicans living abroad and only about 3 million here at home. Why do we
Yes,
want
that
to
is
deny
true.
ourselves? You know
Yeah.
how well developed the Jamaican is, who have spent 2, 3, 4, 5 years in another country and seen differences and how they can improve things? Jamaica is very inefficient, very, very inefficient. When you go to America or Canada or the UK and other countries, you see efficiencies and you learn. We want those talents to come back to Jamaica. So the UIC has built a policy whereby dual citizenship can serve in our government. You don't have to give up. Now, why should you? You've been made an economic refugee because of bad governance here. Many Jamaicans left here because it's bad here. You left here to better yourself and your family. No, we should prevent you from running because you have dual. No, we should welcome you. We should embrace you and say it's one Jamaica. That's why our motto is one Jamaica, because we're stronger together. Now, let's look at the system as it is right now. Right now, you cannot run for office in Jamaica for MP if you have the citizenship of a non-Commonwealth country. So if you are an American, for example, and you have citizenship in America, green card is fine. But if you have citizenship in America, you can't run as an MP. Now, it doesn't mean you can't participate and impact the process, because you can impact the process and do all kind of stuff like you're doing now, for example, you, Ms. Francis. I don't know what your status is in terms of citizenship, but if you are a U.S. citizen and you want to run, you would have to give up your U.S. citizenship to run as an MP in Jamaica. If you're a Canadian citizen, you can run. If you are an Indian citizen, you can run. If you are from St. Lucia, you can run. If you're from any Commonwealth country, once you're a Commonwealth citizen under the current constitution, and you've been domiciled in Jamaica for 12 months or more, you can run for office, keeping your Canadian or your Bangladeshi citizenship, which is amazing. Now, the UIC wants to fix that problem by saying you must be a Jamaican citizen, but you can keep your dual citizenship because you have earned that because of bad governance forcing you to go somewhere else to make the most. Just imagine me. If I had lived in Jamaica all of my life, the experience and exposure which I now have, the knowledge, I wouldn't have gotten it here. To be honest, I wouldn't have gotten it here. I mean, also the pace. When I went to Canada, Miss Francis, I was able to so quickly build business and do very well. If I had stayed in Jamaica, it would be so difficult because as soon as you start to push your head up a little bit, they try to cut it off if you don't become subservient to their partisan politics. So the way they have it structured in Jamaica is if you're connected with the party, they open the gate for you a little bit. They open one gate. The more involved you are with the party, more gates are open for you. Jamaica is a connection-run economy. We want a meritocracy where you grow based on your own competencies and your own abilities, not based on your corrupt connections.
That's correct. Good. So thank you. I think we lost you for a minute there, Louis. We were talking about because my question and Mr. Patterson answered it very well. We wanted to include the participation of those who are financing and funding, sending their money to Jamaica to support Jamaicans, their families that are still here and are economic, stuck here pretty much and unable to leave. We shouldn't need to leave. Even returning, you're so right. Trying to get anything done is almost impossible. I am so afraid to go and set up a bank account in just planning out an entire day of just sitting and waiting is so inefficient. I don't have that time, or not that I don't have it, I don't want to spend hours in the bank waiting for my number to be called and then, having to beg pretty much for service because, people kind of take their jobs as a power was a power move. Um,
No, it's not the people. The incentives in the system, the way Jamaica is designed, people are incentivized to be corrupt by
Yes.
design.
yes.
So, for example, let's say you're working at the bank and you're
Yeah.
making 1.5 million as a teller, right? If you play your cards right in terms of making the system inefficient, you might be able to earn another 2 million on the side.
Yeah.
The amount of people who will pay to get ahead of the line, they'll
Yes.
pay you,
Yes.
right? So the system, if you play your card right in the system, any business at all in Jamaica, any major business,
It is.
if you're incentivized to play a game where you get a thing by how efficient the thing is. So if you're going to
Yeah.
get your driver's license, if you are honest and upstanding and decent, be prepared. You're going to take a longer time. You'll be failed a number of times, because if you want to pass, pay.
Yeah.
So if you want to pass on the first attempt, pay and you pass. If you want to probably pass on the second, third, or fourth attempt, don't pay. And then the written exam, you're going to fail it. If you pay, you will pass the written exam.
Yeah.
If you don't pay,
Yeah.
you might pass somewhere down the road. So the tax office, if you go to the tax office, you'll spend all day in a long line.
Yes.
But if you have somebody to pay, you won't even have to go to the office. You just send a little bearer down there. The bearer go down there. Him knows them go see Miss Jane. Bam, 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 things done. I'll give you one quick example. I have a company here in Jamaica and I have a company in Canada. Both companies requires me to file certain annual returns and so on. I was behind in my filings because of my UIC work for about 2-3 years. To fix the one in Jamaica, it cost me several days. Initially 3 days, then 2 more, then 1 more. About 5-6 days it cost me in Jamaica to get it all done, and altogether about maybe $400,000 or $500,000. In Canada, the same thing cost me a maximum of about 15 minutes or so. Same thing, 15 minutes and about $25.
Wow.
Now, so in Canada, it means that I could quickly get back to producing.
Yeah.
I could get back to managing my customers, managing my production line, managing my quality control, managing my exportation, all of that. Reading my reports, analyzing my profitability, making new strategic decisions. I could do all of that. Canada. In Jamaica now, I'm going to spend day 1 at the company's office, day 2, I steam, I want to leave, I want to get things done. 5 days of no productivity would have been wasted. Plus, I have to still dip in my pocket and find money. So I waste 5 days and I have to pay more for that 5 days. In Canada, it cost me 15 minutes and $25, and I'm back to business. That's how you build a productive country. If you want Jamaica to be productive, eliminate the incentives for corruption, design systems that eliminate too much human contacts
Yes.
where that is concerned,
Yes.
and cause a person to know that if they go to do X, it's going to cost them this small amount of time, so they're incentivized to just go and do it. Sometime in Jamaica, I have to put it off.
Yeah.
Mr. Muito, I
Yes, sir.
lost my driver's license recently. I lost my driver's license. I don't know what happened, couldn't find it. And so I went to the police and reported. So I had to sit with the police and write up a piece of paper. I take the paper across to the tax office and sit in a line and wait for them to dilly-dally. And then they say, okay, go Black River, go figure it out. So I drive, go to Black River. Early morning, I went early so I could be finished in time. It didn't work out. I waited half a day at Black River. Black River said, no, man, no. You have to go a mini pen and Spanish Town, because that's the ticket them did originate. Now, guess what happened? I had no idea I had these tickets outstanding, because one of them, I went to the court and they threw it out and said, no, that's fine. You're free to go, Mr. Patterson. Another one, I went to court. They couldn't find the ticket. So they said, we'll call you. That's 3 years later, they'll call me. So I had no idea I had outstanding tickets until I lost my driver's license, and they will not issue you a new one unless you clear those tickets, which I didn't know about 2-3 years behind. So now I went to Maypen, and Maypen say, boy, we're not doing this today, come back next week, Thursday, or the Thursday after. I say, okay, fine, I'll come the Thursday after, because I went back. Oh, the system is down. You have to book another day. No, my God, Mr. Witter. How can the nation be productive with this kind of thing? How much time must I spend going Black River, tax officer Santa Cruz, police station, Maypen 1, 2, 3 times, then I go to Spanish Town, same thing. Oh, Mr. Patterson, nobody is here right now to attend to you. That was 9 o'clock in the morning. I waited until 11 o'clock. Nobody is here, Mr. You have to come back. And I have to go back there next Saturday, this morning. And thank God, after waiting for all of Saturday, the whole day, and I finally went to the judge and plead my case. She said, okay, pay 1,000 and go on. I shouldn't pay nothing, because I had nothing wrong. But if I were to contest her, she'll just throw the book at me, and I have to spend another week or so or more. So I just say, you know what, for peace sake, but pay the $1,000. No, when I'm there, Mr. Witter, what I'm seeing on the faces of my fellow Jamaicans is anger. Anger. They're angry. They're frustrated. They're losing the zest of life. They're losing the desire to produce and to trade, because trying to trade legally and honorably in this country is punishment.
It's a problem.
So that's why, Mr. Witter, our crime rate continues to go up. Our very government, our very system of government is pushing our people over the edge. They're the ones creating the criminals. That's the best form of production they've done. They fail at everything and succeed at creating avenues for corruption and producing criminals. That's what they do.
You know,
Wow.
I the frustration that he's sharing. I made a post today on my page, because I said, you know, we need a support group for returning residents, because I did not expect to run into this. So that frustration I'm trying to avoid as much, just leaving and engaging in any type of trade, business, restaurant. You're online forever, and it's just frustrating. And how could it not be when people are living off of a minimum wage of maybe $100, what would equate to $100 US a week? And this is the system that has been allowed to go on forever. There's no livable wage for people. So you have to find a way to can you imagine the police?
Oh yeah.
You can make money when they pull you over.
And this is by design. All of this is by design. The PSOJ oligarchy, they want this. They create a Jamaica where they have a small number of jobs and a lot of people going after it, right?
Yes.
So you bring down wage rates. Then you create a fictitious minimum wage, and then you use it as a bar, and then which you then keep. Listen, if you want a job, then you better take this. And then when people sign out of that, what do they go to? You have male prostitution, female prostitution, you have scamming, you have side jobs and whatever. The police is compromised. The nurse is compromised. Even the people in the big office. Somebody you see in jacket and tie and stockings and whatever going around, and their high heels and whatever, they're living on the margins. And so they use their office now as a way of creating extra income through corruption. So my friends, the very people we're looking to fix Jamaica, these two parties and their leadership, no matter what face, don't worry. If they put Lisa Anna at the front of the PNP, it's the same thing. If they put Crawford at the front of the PNP, it's the same thing. If they put Tufton at the front of the GLPs, it doesn't matter who they put, hardly sure. Don't get carried away by the new face. We've had many faces. We've had black man time now on the PG. We've had woman time now on the Porsche. We've had young people time now on the Andrew. We've had Bruce the driver before. We've had PJ the Black Prince. We've had Michael Manley. We've had Buster. It does not matter. The system that they are following is a system designed to crush the Jamaican people and extract their wealth to puff up a few house slaves who then give the rest of it to their colonial masters.
Very true.
Yes,
And
sir.
just in the
Very
very
true.
short time I've been here, I have just experienced that and frustration. So it's very discouraging for those of us in the diaspora to want to come back home and live comfortably, because even if you you have the income to live, the frustration of doing
Yeah.
anything or running a business. Can you imagine businesses in St. Elizabeth for without power? For your business is going to get shut down. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't function. There's
When
no
they went to
way.
the
Yeah.
store, their internet is down. They can't run your machine. We had a cash basis business for the last several weeks in Santa Cruz because no internet. Sometimes you're in the middle of the store, you're shopping, and the lights go out because they were running the generator. They run out of gas. Gas is so expensive, right? When you have to run a generator on gas for the entire day, all your profit is wiped out. So it's
Killing the businesses here as well. It's
yeah,
very, it's not
absolutely.
a very
Big,
good environment
big
for
problem.
business. It
Yeah.
is. It is. So the reason I sought out an option after just looking at the local elections and how the people were carrying on, and I was just like, I can't be a part of that. There's nothing that made sense. I was able to locate the UIC and said, you know what, I have to do something. I cannot choose any of the other parties because it made no sense to me. And so,
Yeah.
as a returning resident, and instead of packing my bags and heading back to the US, I decided I'm going to stay on board and try to.
Congratulations and hats off to you. We need more people like you in this country, and even those who don't return, like Mr. Witter and others, we need you. I mean, you are the diaspora is Jamaica's greatest asset. Just imagine if
It is. It is.
if 1,000 persons in the diaspora decided they're going to fund the UIC by just $10-20 a month, for example, just 1,000 persons, you would give us. I see somebody writing on here, Jennifer, I think, saying the UIC need to go out and campaign and meet the people. We can't do it without money. There's only my pocket can only go so far. The amount of just the fight I had to do from 2013 to 2019 to get this party registered because they changed the rules. Mr. Lewis, Mr. Witter, in 2017, they rewrote the regulations and rules to make it mandatory for political parties to go through a registration process. Before it was free for all and they had it all. Then they changed the laws and rules because they had these little small parties coming up. And in one stroke of the pen and new legislation, they wiped out all those small parties, all of them, NDM, everybody was gone. They're still there in name only, but they're not registered. So NDM is no longer registered. The Marcus Garvey Party not registered because they can't meet the requirements. So I took it upon myself with my darling wife. I don't know what I put her through. And we slug it out and fought vehemently with the two parties who control the Electoral Commission of Jamaica and wrote the laws to suit themselves to make a permanent monopoly. And we battled with them and battled with them until finally we broke them in December of 2019 and became Jamaica's first ever officially registered third political party in Jamaica, ever. And now we have to fight now. Can they lock us off from the media now? You won't see me on TV, Jay, and see it. Because as soon as I started to talk and the people were getting excited, they said, cut him off. As soon as this, they said, no, cut off this brother. We can't have this brother here. I talk on radio and TV. Yeah. So they lock us out. They lock us out of the system. But we're still here and we're using social media. By the way, they also shadow ban us on social media. And what they do, right? They have many armies who report us negatively to the different thing, right? To the algorithm, say, okay, put them down. They got us shut off of PayPal. They do everything because they have the means and the people. But as soon as the diaspora wake up and decide that, wait a minute, but we have power. If we were to own the UIC, the same way the PSOJ own the two-party them, if we, the people, decide to own the UIC, even if all of it just like get $10 a month, 1,000 away, $10 a month, 5,000 away, $10 a month, the UIC is now able to stand up for we and carry out our mandate to fix Jamaica. And that's what we want to happen.
Amen. Listen, guys, I got to run. I got another program coming up.
Thank you.
This is the beginning, Brother Joseph. We will have to continue to talk because I know and I think the diaspora getting your message through us is the best way to move the party along that it needs to, the grounds that it needs to do to in order to advance to the next level. I
Absolutely.
am here. We have a 24-hour broadcast, 7 days a week. We have plenty of time, can get you guys back on and let's talk and get at least the circle in Central Florida and other
Mhm.
people that listen across the diaspora can come together, start the movement, start it somewhere. We're willing to do that because we like when people make sense. You make sense with what you're saying. And it's time that we get out of this old fake operation that Jamaica has been going through since 62 years. This independent thing makes no sense that we even celebrate it. It is a
Yeah,
sham and we need to stop.
absolutely.
All right.
Thank you so much, Mr. Witt.
So thanks
Appreciate it.
again, my
We'll be in
brother. I
touch.
look forward to connect with you again. Thank you so much, Karen.
Most
Sure,
definitely.
sure,
Thank
sure.
you. Take care. All the
Awesome.
We'll just
best.
keep you tagged in. Thanks again for
Well,
being with us.
thank you so much. God bless you. And
God bless you too.
Well,
All
Mr.
right.
Patterson, that was thank you so much for sharing. That's You've opened up my eyes, and I've obviously had an opportunity. I've been working with you for the past few weeks, so I've heard your passion. I'm 100% behind the mission and vision. I'm a grassroots type of a person. I realize that it this movement requires the involvement of our people, and many of us are not familiar with how to govern the
Hmm.
process of doing that, but I have been a part of the meetings that you're facilitating, and I've seen how they're managed very well. And this is the example people need. As an educator myself, you talk about educating our people, and as we move towards self-governance, it is important for us to learn how to do that. So I just want to commend you for fighting and sticking to it. I have not even set up a bank account yet because I'm afraid of the days I have to sit and wait. But you have done it,
Oh,
and
yes.
that. So thank
It's
you
been so
for.
much. I see somebody asking here how they can contribute. Everyone, you can go to uicjamaica.com and click on donate. You can donate there. What we're trying to do is to reach 500,000 members here in Jamaica and around the world. So wherever you are in the world, be it in North America, Asia, Europe, Africa, Caribbean, we have people who are members in Cayman, for example, Barbados, we have members. We have members in the US, in Canada, in the UK. We even have one member in Japan.
Mhm.
So, everybody, all are welcome. If you want a new Jamaica, if you want new leadership in Jamaica, a new system in Jamaica, and a Jamaica where you and your family can retire with dignity, where you can come back if you're young enough to work in a dignified manner and earn. If you want a Jamaica that is safe, that is clean, with public parks and public amenities that make sense, the UIC is for you. It won't happen overnight, but together we can make it happen. The first thing is for us to vote out those who have had 80 years to do it and didn't. Vote them out. Vote in the UIC and give us the power to give Jamaica a new constitution, a non-partisan constitutional republic that will protect the right to your life, your liberty, and your property. A Jamaica where you and your entire family can live, earn, and retire with dignity. So let's do it. We can do it. So uicjamaica.com. Go there. You can donate as much as you want, as regularly as you want. But most importantly, become a member, become a volunteer. And it's easy to volunteer. All you have to do is spread the word. Get your family, your friends, your co-workers, your boss, or your employees if you're an employer. Just tell all of them and get them to join the movement. Wherever you are, if you're in St. Catherine, St. Mary, Westmoreland, St. Thomas, Portland, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, it doesn't matter, St. Elizabeth, please, St. Mary, all of us here. This is our country. Don't feel so you're too poor to help. Just $250 a week covers your membership dues. $1,000 a month as a Jamaican here in Jamaica. Overseas, just $2.50 US equivalent per week. $10 a month. If we all come together and do this, 500,000 of us, we will win the election and we'll win for Jamaica.
True, true. Thank you. And those words, a great, great conclusion to this. And I do want to just invite us all to jump in. I'm going to make sure that I don't think that I have paid my dues, not monetarily, but in terms of time. But I'm going to make sure that I do that before the end of this month. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for your time, and thank you for
My pleasure. Thank you for doing this. Appreciate it.
It's the same.
We have to do a part 2, by the way, because we didn't get to some of the other nice
All
stuff
the
you wanted
things
to
that we
talk
wanted
about.
to talk about, that's for sure. Well, I'll be here every Sunday having these types of conversations, and we're going to be moving to bring in some of the other groups to be a part of these conversations,
Yes,
so that we can move
absolutely.
forward together. Thank you again for your time. Thank you again for your service.
My
God bless
pleasure.
you.
Have
God
a
bless
good
you.
night. Thanks, everyone. Remember, one Jamaica, stronger together. Let's say it together. One
One
Jamaica,
Jamaica, stronger.
stronger together. And believe me, we cannot do it as individuals, but we can do it as a collective. All the best. Bye-bye.
Take care now. Bye bye.
Take care.